to 5-Minute Fridays. I am just about to start my 5-minute workout for today. You can see that I have a set of dumbbells here. So if you have dumbbells, go ahead and get them ready. We are using them today, but if you don't have dumbbells, don't go anywhere. I will, of course, be providing equipment-free substitutions and beginner modifications. There are timestamps in the description box down below the video, so if you would prefer to skip straight ahead to the workout, you can use the chapter markers to do that. But if you would like to see the exercises demonstrated and explained before we begin, let's go ahead and get into that right now. I'm going to start by showing you the exercises the way I'm doing them, but again, if you don't have dumbbells or if you are a beginner, please stick around because I am also going to be providing modifications for you. But really, for my workout, I'm just doing 2 exercises, but they're both compound movements. So the first exercise I'm going to do is what I call espressos. If you follow my workouts regularly, you already know what an espresso is. We do them frequently. They're very similar to what a lot of people call man makers. So if you are familiar with what a man maker is, you can just do man makers. It's essentially the same thing. And then the second exercise is going to be a squat variation. So let me show you the espressos first. And let me begin by telling you 2 things about my dumbbells. First of all, my dumbbells weigh 10 pounds apiece, and that is a good weight for me. However, you may need to use something lighter or heavier. That is going to depend on your strength, on your level of fitness, what you have available to you, and how hard you are looking to push yourself today. So please consider all of those factors when choosing your weights and make the decision that is best for you. The other thing I want to point out about my dumbbells is that these are hex dumbbells. They are shaped like a hexagon on the ends. This means that they are flat on the bottom. So this is significant because when I am doing my espressos, I am going to be holding on to the dumbbells while I'm in a plank position, and all of my weight is going to be on the dumbbells. I'm going to be doing push-ups on the dumbbells, and if your dumbbells are rounded on the ends, they're liable to roll around on you when you are holding on to them in a plank position and doing push-ups on them, and I don't think it's safe. I know there are plenty of people who use rounded dumbbells in this way. You have to decide what level of risk you are comfortable taking. But for the record, I would prefer that unless your dumbbells are flat on the bottom, that you do not use them the way I'm going to be using them for my espressos. I would prefer that you modify the espressos so that your hands are flat on the floor or the ground while you are doing your push-ups, and I will walk you through that modification. But let me just go ahead and start by showing you what the exercise looks like all put together, and then we'll break it down. So I'm going to start standing in a neutral position, meaning that my feet are about shoulder width apart, and I'm just holding my weights to the side like this, so that right now my palms are facing the outside of my legs. The back of this hand is facing you. And I'm just going to bend down, put the dumbbells down on the ground in front of me. And now you can step your feet back one at a time so that you are in a plank position. That's fine. I'm going to jump my feet back, both feet at a time. So I'm going to jump the feet back and then in a plank position while still holding onto my dumbbells. Now I'm going to do a push-up on the dumbbells. And now I'm going to do 2 plank rows. So I'm going to row each weight one at a time by bending the elbow and lifting the weight up towards the shoulder on the same side, and then placing the weight down, keeping the movement under control. Repeat that on the other side. So now picking up the other dumbbell and bringing it up towards the shoulder on the same side, and then placing it down with control. Now I'm going to jump my feet back in. So again, you can step your feet in one at a time if you prefer. I'm going to jump my feet in at the same time. And now I'm going to stand and do a hammer curl. So a hammer curl means that I'm not switching my grip. I'm not going to rotate my wrists so that they're facing forward. I'm keeping my hands to my side. The back of this hand is still facing you. And I'm going to curl the weights from this position. So it's as though I'm swinging a hammer. So I'm just going to bend my elbows and bring the weights up towards my shoulders. And now again, I'm not rotating my wrists. I'm keeping my hands in this same position. So now my palms are facing my ears and still the back of this hand is facing you. From this position, I'm just going to straighten my elbows and press the weights up overhead, and then reverse the movement. So bend the elbows and lower the weights back down to the shoulders with control, and then with control, straighten the elbows again, lower the weights back down to the side, and return to the starting position. So it is a compound movement. There are really just 2 exercises in this workout, but they're both compound movements. So for the espresso, when you break it down, just think push up, row, row, hammer curl, overhead press, okay? Push up on the dumbbells, 1 row on either side, then you're gonna stand, do a hammer curl and an overhead press, and that's 1 rep. All right, so let's put one together a little bit faster. So starting by standing in a neutral position, the backs of my hands, the back of this hand is facing you, the back of my other hand is facing this gate to my right, and I'm going to keep my hands in this position the whole time, so I'm never going to rotate my wrists so that they're facing forward. My hands are gonna stay right like this the whole time. So now I'm going to bend down, put the weights on the ground in front of me, jump or step the feet back so you're in a plank position. Do a push-up on the dumbbells. Row 1 weight, row the other weight, jump or step the feet back in, stand, hammer curl, overhead press. So remember, push up, row, row, hammer curl, overhead press. That is an espresso. If your weights are not flat on the bottom, if your weights are rounded here, then I would prefer that you apply this modification that I'm about to show you. You are going to start the same way, holding your weights to your side. You're going to bend down and put the weights down on the ground in front of you, and now let go of the weights. Because this is the part where you're about to jump or step your feet back in a plank position, and I don't want you holding onto the dumbbells while you do that, because they're liable to roll around on you if they're not flat on the bottom. So you're going to let go of the dumbbells, put your hands flat on the floor or the ground in front of you, and then you can jump or step your feet back so that you are in a plank position. And now you're going to do your push-up with your hands flat on the floor or the ground. And then you are still going to roll the weights one at a time, but you are going to keep one hand flat on the floor or the ground the entire time, so that you have stability and you're not going to fall. So I'm going to keep this hand flat on the ground while I pick up the other hand, grab a hold of my dumbbell, and row it. So bend your elbow and lift the dumbbell with control up towards your shoulder on the same side. Then place the dumbbell down with control and let go. Now repeat that on the other side. So now this hand is going to stay flat on the ground. I'm picking up the other hand, and I'm going to grab the dumbbell, do a plank row, put the dumbbell down and let go. Both hands flat on the ground again. As I jump my feet back in, you can also step them back in one at a time. And then as I stand, I'm going to bring the dumbbells with me, and from here on out, it's the same exercise. Hammer curl, overhead press. And that's 1 rep. So let's put that all together a little faster. This is your modification if you have rounded dumbbells. So bend down, put the weights down and let go. Hands flat on the floor or the ground, jump the feet back so that you're in a plank position. Push up with your hands flat on the ground. Now roll 1 weight with the other hand flat on the ground. Repeat that on the other side. Jump or step the feet back in. Pick up the weights. Hammer curl, overhead press. 1 more, a little faster. Bend down, put the weights down, let go. Hands on the ground, jump the feet back. Push up, row, row. Jump the feet in, stand, hammer curl, overhead press. So it is the exact same exercise, but since your dumbbells do not provide the same level of stability that my dumbbells do, being flat on the bottom like this, you're just modifying the exercise slightly so that you're never having to balance on your rounded dumbbells. Super simple modification. If you don't have a set of dumbbells, rounded or otherwise, remember that you can always look for household items that will work. So for example, you could grab a couple of water bottles or shampoo bottles. You could just fill them with water, but if you wanted to challenge yourself and make them a bit heavier, you could fill them with something heavier, like pebbles, or like small pebbles or rocks, like those little garden stones, something like that, or just dried rice or beans. You could fill them with kitty litter or like powdered laundry detergent. Okay, so just get creative and use what you've got. But if you don't have dumbbells, household items will absolutely work for this exercise. However, I don't think it's safe to hold on to something like cans of soup or shampoo bottles or water bottles while you are in a plank position and putting your weight on them while you do push-ups. So if you are going to use household items like water bottles or shampoo bottles or cans of soup, that's fine. Just apply the modification that I just showed you for rounded dumbbells, so that you're going to put your cans of soup or your shampoo bottles or water bottles down, let go of them, do the push-up with your hands flat on the floor or the ground, and then you can row your weights one at a time while keeping the other hand flat on the ground, and then jump the feet in and pick up your cans of soup or your water bottles as you stand, and then continue with your hammer curl and overhead press. So it's the same modification I just showed you. So again, please just use your common sense and be safe. But household items will absolutely work if you do not have dumbbells. If you don't have anything that is going to work for weight, or you just don't feel comfortable adding weight to your workout, that's fine. You can just do any burpee variation you want. So while I'm doing espressos, just do any burpee variation. There are a million different burpee variations, so just do one that works for you. There are probably just as many burpee variations that contain a push-up as there are burpee variations that do not contain a push-up. So you don't necessarily have to do push-ups with this workout. You can choose a burpee variation that does not contain a push-up. That's absolutely fine. Do what works for you. Literally any burpee variation you want to do is fine. The only thing is that if you are planning on doing a burpee variation that contains a push-up, please mind your form on your push-ups. So let's very quickly go over the proper form for your push-ups, and then we will move on to the second exercise. So to do a proper push-up, the first thing you want to do is find your perfect plank position. So that means that your hands are going to be directly underneath your shoulders, and you're going to make sure your hips are lifted nice and high. So you want to make sure that you're not letting your hips or your belly droop like this. That's causing an arch in my back, and that's not what we want. So instead, what I want you to do is brace yourself like someone is about to punch you in the stomach. Think about how you would brace for that impact, and then use those ab muscles to lift your hips high and keep them high. Now, if your hips are slightly elevated like this, that's not terrible, because in that position, your back is still flat. So you're not going to hurt yourself doing the push-ups from that position, and it will actually make the push-ups a little bit easier. So if you need to have your hips elevated just a bit, don't worry too much about it, but it's something to be aware of, because what you're striving towards is to have your body in one perfectly straight line from your heels to your shoulders. So while what you really don't want to do is allow your back to arch like this and allow your hips or your belly to drop, you also don't want to have your hips elevated. Now, this is not going to cause you any issues. This might. So I would rather have this than this, but what you're aiming for, your goal, is to have your hips right here so that your body is in one straight line from your heels to your shoulders. You also want to make sure that you are not sinking into your shoulders like this. This is something a lot of people do. So if you find yourself doing this, you want your shoulders away from your ears. So the way you fix this is to actively press the ground away from you. All right, if you envision actually pushing the ground away from you, that's going to help you get in this nice high plank position with your shoulders away from your ears. And that's what we want. The other thing that you want to be aware of is that your head is in a nice neutral position, right in line with your spine. It is another very common mistake that people will let their head drop like this. You don't want that. You don't need to overcorrect by hyperextending your neck and kind of jutting your chin out. You just want your neck to be in a nice neutral position in line with your spine. So once you have found that perfectly straight, beautiful plank position, nothing moves. All right, just keep telling yourself this is a moving plank, so the only thing you're doing is lowering your body down and pushing it back up. But you don't want to break that straight line from your heels to your shoulders. So what you're trying to do, you're going to bend your elbows and you're lowering your chest down to the ground. That's what you're going for. Now you may or may not be able to actually touch the ground with your chest. And that's fine. If you can only come down halfway, if you do not yet have the upper body strength or the core strength to lower your chest all the way down to the ground, that's fine. You can shorten up your range of motion. So if you can only come down this far, that's fine. This is your push-up. As soon as you've gotten as far as you can, you're gonna press the ground away from you and push yourself back up. So your priority is not to get your chest to the ground. That's what you're going for, but that's not your priority. Your priority is to not break that one straight line from your heels to your shoulders. So if you can only come down this far, don't compensate for the fact that you're not getting your chest down to the ground by lowering your hips or your belly to the ground. Don't compensate for the fact that you're not getting your chest down to the ground by lowering your forehead down to the ground, okay? Remember that you want that one straight line from your heels to your shoulders and you don't want anything to move. So don't bob your head up and down. Keep those abs tight, keep your hips lifted high. Your plank is just moving up and down, but nothing else on your body is moving. So shortening up your range of motion is fine. This is fine. This is not fine. This is not fine. All right, so if you're able to get your chest all the way down to the ground without, watch how nothing else moves on my body, right? That's great. That's what you're going for. But your number one goal is not to just get some body part down to the ground. Your number one goal is to keep that straight line from your heels to your shoulders. And if you're doing knee push-ups, all of the same principles apply. The only difference is that instead of my body being in one straight line from my heels to my shoulders, that straight line is going to go from my knees to my shoulders. All right, so my hands are directly underneath my shoulders. I'm not sinking into my shoulders like this. I'm pressing the mat away from me, keeping my ears away from my shoulders. My head is in line with my spine. I'm not hyperextending my neck, and I'm not letting my head drop. My neck is in a nice neutral position in line with my spine. My abs are super tight and my hips are lifted nice and high. My back is straight. I am not allowing my hips or my belly to drop down to the mat like this, causing my back to arch. I'm tightening up those abs. I'm lifting the hips high and that's where they're going to stay. Now I'm going to bend my elbows and get my chest down as low to the mat as I can without breaking this straight line from my knees to my shoulders. So if you can get your chest all the way down to the mat, great. Push the mat away from you, return to your starting position. But again, if you are unable to get your chest all the way down to the mat and you can only come down this far, that's fine. Just shorten up your range of motion. If this is your push-up, then this is your push-up. But what you don't want to do is get down here and then compensate for the fact that you're not getting your chest all the way down by lowering your hips or your belly to the mat. You don't want to get here and then compensate for the fact that you're not getting your chest all the way down by lowering your forehead down to the mat, okay? Everything stays perfectly still as you bend your elbows and move. It's a moving plank, so you're lowering your chest as close to the mat as you can, and then you're actively pressing the ground away from you to push yourself back up and return to your starting position. So that's it, that's the first exercise. I'm going to be doing espressos, Again, very similar to what a lot of people call man makers. So that's one option. If you need an equipment-free substitution, then any burpee variation you want to do is fine. If your burpee variation includes a push-up, please make sure that you are minding your form on the push-up, whether you are doing the push-up from your knees or from your toes. So if you are a beginner, any version of beginner burpee you want to do is fine. So you can just start by standing in a neutral position on your mat. Come and put your hands down, step your feet back if you want. You can jump them back if you prefer and if you're capable of doing so. Not all beginners are at the same level, so do what works for you, but step or jump the feet back so you're in a plank position. And then if you want to include a push-up, you can put your knees down. If you cannot do the push-up from your toes, again, not all beginners are at the same level, so just because you're a beginner doesn't mean you can't do a push-up from your toes, so that is up to you. But if you want to put your knees down, do your push-up, and then come back up to your plank position, jump or step the feet in, and then stand. And then from here, you can jump if you want. If you can't jump for whatever reason, you have bad knees or you have downstairs neighbors, you can just stand. You can try to come up onto your toes. All right, whatever works for you. So one more beginner burpee. Hands come down, step the feet back. Knees down if you need to. Push up, back up to a plank if you were on your knees. Step the feet in, stand, and come up onto the toes if you can. Do a little jump if you can. And if you don't want to do push-ups, that's fine. You can eliminate the push-ups. So you can just start by standing in a neutral position, come down, put your hands flat on the floor of the ground in front of you, jump your feet back, and now eliminate the push-up. Just jump your feet back in, stand, and jump up. If you can't jump, you can just stand, or you can come up onto your toes. If you can't jump the feet back from into a plank position and jump them back, and you can step them out and in. So you can put your hands down, step your feet back, step them back in and stand, come up onto your toes or at a jump. Okay, again, there are just millions of different burpee variations, millions of different beginner burpee variations and advanced burpee variations and everything in between. Burpee variations that contain a push-up, burpee variations that don't contain a push-up. So just pick any burpee variation that works for you. Obviously, I can't go through all of the burpee variations, but there are a few suggestions for beginners and intermediate, but that's it. That's the first exercise. So moving on to our second exercise, which is another compound movement. We are going to be doing a weighted sumo squat plus a bent over fly plus an upright row. So again, I am going to be holding on to my 10-pound dumbbells for this. You can use lighter weights if you need to, that's fine. And if 20 pounds of weight is not enough to challenge you, you can use heavier weights. Just make the decision that is best for you. But I'm going to be holding my weights together like this, and we're going to start with a weighted sumo squat. So when I say a sumo squat, what I mean by that is that I'm going to be starting with my feet a little bit wider apart than shoulder width. And I'm going to have my toes angled out at about a 45-degree angle. So my toes are not going to be facing straight on like this. They're going to be angled out slightly, and my feet are going to be a bit wider apart than my shoulders. And I'm going to have my weights in the middle like this. I'm just going to let them drop in front of me while I sink down into my squat. All right, so that's what I mean when I say a sumo squat, and when I say weighted, this is what I mean. I'm just holding the weights together in front of me like this. So now after I do my squat, I'm not going to stand up all the way. I'm going to hinge at the hips. So I'm going to sink down into my squat, and then from here, I'm just going to kind of come up halfway and hinge at the hips. Now I'm going to do a bent over fly. So all that means is that it's this motion, all right? Like as though you're flying. Think about flapping your wings like this. So my weights are together. I'm just going to bring them up to my sides and then bring them back together with control. So make sure you're not banging the weights together. You want every aspect of the movement to be under control. So, And now I'm going to, again, hinge at the hips to stand. And I am going to do an upright row. So I'm going to switch my, not really switching my grip, but rotating my wrists so that now they are facing this way. My palms are facing the top of my legs. The backs of my hands are facing you, and I'm going to do an upright row. So all that means is that I'm going to bend my elbows and lift the weights up right in front of me towards my shoulders, and then control the movement on the way down. All right, and that's the exercise. So let's put a couple of reps all together so that you can see the flow of it, and then we'll break it down. We'll talk about form. I'll give you your equipment-free substitutions and your beginner modifications. So, holding the weights together in front of me like this. I'm going to first sink down into my squat. Then I'm going to hinge at the hips. Then I'm going to do my fly. And then I'm going to hinge at the hips again, rotate the wrists, and do my upright row. I'll show you one from the front. I'm going to put the weights back together again, and then I'm going to squat, hinge, fly, hinge, rotate the wrists, upright row. Rotate the wrists again, put the weights back together. Squat, hinge, fly, rotate, upright row. Put the weights back together. Squat, hinge, fly, upright row. One more time from the side. Squat, hinge, fly, upright row. All right, so that is my second exercise. Now let's kind of break it down into the three individual components. I want to talk a little bit about form. So the first component is obviously squats. And the first thing I always tell you to do when we're doing squats is to start by tucking your shoulder blades into your back pockets. So you want your shoulders to be back and down, away from your ears. So I think that the best way to do that is to visualize trying to tuck your shoulder blades into your back pockets. That's going to help your shoulders to stay back and down. It's also going to help you keep your chest lifted nice and high, which is what we want. So before you even think about squatting, check in with your posture. Shoulders are back and down, chest is lifted high. Now tighten up those abs. Remember that sensation like someone is about to punch you as hard as they can in the stomach and you are bracing for that impact. That's how tight your abs should be. Now, when you think about squatting, I don't want you to think of your squat as going straight down, because when I do that, look at where my knees are. Do you see how they're over my toes? You're really increasing your risk of injury if you do your squat that way. That's really not the movement. So instead of thinking of squatting straight down, I want you to think about trying to touch the wall behind you with your booty. So if I really do that, if I earnestly try my hardest to touch that wall with my booty, do you see what's happening? Do you see where my knees are? Instead of being out over my toes, they're now out. They're now more over my heels. All of my body weight is in my heels. I can actually pick up my toes. All right, my back is nice and flat. So as I'm trying to touch this wall behind me with my booty, remember you want your chest to stay lifted nice and high. So you want to at the same time think about trying to touch the wall in front of you with your chest so that your spine is nice and elongated. That's going to help you keep your back flat, which is what we want. And then from this position is where you can sink down into your squat. All right, so do your best to at least get your thighs parallel to the ground if you can. If you are able to and you want to squat lower so that your booty is all the way down below your knees, great, you can do that. If you can't quite get your thighs parallel to the ground, that's fine. Just do your best. You should always be working to your own level, but ideally you want to at least see if you can get your thighs parallel to the ground. All right, and then to come up from your squat, you're going to actively press your heels into the ground. So again, you want to visualize pushing the ground away from you with your heels and then coming up to stand. All right, so that's the proper form for your squat, regardless of what squat variation you end up doing. So tuck the shoulder blades into the back pocket. Shoulders are back and down, away from the ears. Chest is lifted nice and high, abs are super tight. Now touch the wall behind you with your booty as you touch the wall in front of you with your chest, keeping that spine nice and elongated, keeping your back flat, keeping your weight in your heels. Sink down into your squat, and now press the ground away with your heels to stand. Shoulders back and down, chest is high, abs are tight. Push the booty back, flat back, weight in the heels. Sink down into your squat, press the heels into the ground to stand. All right, so that is the proper form for your squat. Now let's talk about the proper form for your bent over fly. So remember that after you are down here in your squat, instead of coming all the way up to stand, you're only going to come up halfway. We're hinging at the hips. So you're going to straighten your legs, but you're not going to come up to a standing position. You're hinging at the hips so that you're still in this position where you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your booty, trying to touch the wall in front of you with your chest. Now, when I say you're straightening your legs, I don't mean that you're actively trying to straighten your legs all the way like this and locking out your knees. Do not do that. You need to have a soft bend to your knees. So when I say straightening the legs, I mean going from here to here, but not locking out the knees and straightening them all the way. It's just a hip hinge, all right? So it's the way we started the squat before we actually sank down into our squat, okay? It's that motion. So your weight is in your heels, your back is flat, you're hinging at the hips, all right? And then from this position is where you're going to do your bent over fly. So starting with the weights together, you're just going to, like I said, like you have wings, you're going to lift the weights out to the side. But again, you want to make sure there's a soft bend to your elbow. Your arms are not perfectly straight. You definitely do not want to lock out your elbow. Keep a soft bend to your elbow as you lift the weights to the side. And make sure that you're not lifting the weights directly to the side, but that you are lifting them forward ever so slightly. All right, so as opposed to this, straight to the side, I just want to angle this way, just a little bit, so it's not right in front of you, it's not right to the side, it's here. All right, so from the front, it's going to look like this. You're going to squat, and then you're going to hinge at the hips. So you're straightening the legs, but not all the way. Your back is flat, the weight is in your heels. Soft bend to the elbows. You're going to lift the weights more or less to the side, but angled slightly in front of you. And then control the movement. Remember, you're not just letting the weights bang together. You want them to come back together and touch, but you want that movement to be under control. And then you're going to press your heels into the ground. You're hinging at the hips to stand. So let's do it just that much. Put together the squat and the bent over fly from this side. So weights in front, squat, and now hinge at the hips, flat back, weight is in the heels, soft bend to the elbows, do your fly, control the movement. Now hinging at the hips to stand, so pressing the heels into the ground, hinge at the hips to stand, and now remember you're going to rotate your wrists so that your palms are facing the front of your legs. And then we're just going to add on our upright row. So very simple movement. You're going to plant your feet into the ground. Imagine you have roots growing out of the bottom of your feet. Remember, your knees are soft. You don't want to actively straighten your legs. Don't lock out your knees. There's a soft bend to your knees. Abs are super tight. Chest is lifted high. Shoulders are back and down. You're just going to lift the weights up towards your shoulders with control. And then don't just let the weights fall down, but control the movement on the way down. All right, so my palms are facing the tops of my thighs. The backs of my hands are facing you. With control, I'm going to lift the weights up towards my shoulders And then with control, I'm going to lower them back down. Remember, shoulders are back and down, chest is lifted high, abs are tight. Plant those feet into the ground, keep a soft bend to your knees. All right, so that's all 3 components. Now let's put it back together now that you've seen the proper form and you understand the movement a little better. So we'll do a couple from the front, a couple from the side. Weights in front of you, squat, hinge, fly, hinge, rotate, upright row, rotate the wrists, squat, hinge, fly, upright row. Couple more times from the side, squat, hinge, fly, upright row. One more, squat, hinge, fly, upright row. So again, if you do not have a set of dumbbells, household items will work. A couple of water bottles or cans of soup, shampoo bottles filled with some sort of weight. You could also use a kettlebell for this exercise. That would work great. And if 2 dumbbells is too much, you can do it with just 1 dumbbell so that you're just going to work one side at a time. So this is your modification if you are using 1 dumbbell or if you are using a kettlebell for this exercise, okay? So you're going to start by holding the weight in one hand. I'm going to take my free hand and just place it over the other hand for the squat. And I'm just going to hold my weight in front of me like this as I sink down into my squat. Now with this top hand, I'm going to let go as I hinge. And you can just put the hand behind your back, that's fine. And then from here, you can do your fly on one side, hinge at the hips to stand, rotate the wrist. So now the back of my hand is facing you, and do your upright row, all right? Rotate the wrist again, take your free hand, place it over the other hand, squat, let go with this hand, hinge, fly, hinge to stand, upright row, squat, hinge, fly, upright row. From the side, free hand goes over the top of the other hand that's holding the dumbbell, squat, let go with this hand. Place it behind your back or on your hip, out to the side for balance, whatever's comfortable for you. Hinge at the hips, do your fly. Hinge at the hips to stand, rotate your wrist, upright row. Rotate the wrist again, squat, hinge, fly, upright row. Squat, hinge, fly, upright row. All right, so that's one modification. If it's too difficult to do with 2 dumbbells, or if you only have 1 dumbbell, or if you're using a kettlebell, and again, that would also work with 1 can of soup or 1 water bottle or shampoo bottle. If you don't have anything that is going to work for weight, or you just don't feel comfortable adding weight to your workout and you need an equipment-free modification, you are going to eliminate the bent over fly and you are going to eliminate the upright row, because if you're not holding on to any weight, that makes no sense. There's nothing to row, okay? So instead, my suggestion is going to be for your body weight modification that you just do a good morning and an air squat, or prisoner squat really. So when I say a prisoner squat, all I mean is that you're going to have your hands clasped together behind your head like this, like a prisoner, and your hands will stay there for the entire duration of the exercise. So you're going to do your good morning with your hands in this position, and then just keep your hands in this position for your squat. So starting with your good morning, so again, you're going to want your shoulders back and down, chest is lifted high, tighten up those abs. You're going to push your booty back, keeping your back flat and the weight in your heels. Your legs are more or less straight, but not with locked knees. You do want a soft bend to your knees, but we're not squatting yet. So your legs are more or less straight as you push that booty back, and it's another hip hinge. So just like we were doing for the bent over flies, but you're just not going to be doing the fly. You're just going to be hinging at the hips. So shoulders are back and down. Chest is lifted nice and high. Abs are super tight. You're pushing your booty back, keeping your back flat, keeping the weight in your heels as you hinge at the hips. So you have that nice elongated spine where you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your booty as you're trying to touch the wall in front of you with your chest. Make sure the weight is in your heels, make sure you can pick up your toes. And then from here, you're hinging at the hips to stand, so just press your heels into the ground to stand, return to your starting position, and then you'll do your squat. So shoulders back and down, chest lifted high, core is engaged, push the booty back, and then you can sink down into your squat, keeping your back flat, keeping the weight in your heels, press the heels into the ground to stand. So let's put it all together, clasp the hands together behind your head, and now you're gonna start with your good morning. So hinging at the hips, hinge at the hips to stand, and now your squat. Press the heels into the ground to stand. Hip hinge, good morning, prisoner squat, and stand. Good morning, prisoner squat. If you need a beginner modification, I do think that a lot of beginners will be able to do the exercise the way I just showed you, your good morning and then your prisoner squat. But if you need to hold on to a chair for support, great. This is a flimsy plastic folding chair. I'm just using this so that you have a visual, so you can see what I'm talking about. But please, if you are going to use a chair for support, do not use a flimsy plastic folding chair. Please make sure that your chair is strong enough to support your body weight, sturdy enough so that it won't collapse or break on you or fold up on you when you put weight on it, and stable enough so that it will not slide from underneath you. So you can see I have put my chair on top of my jump rope mat. That's going to help the chair stay put so it can't slide from underneath me. Of course, a plyo box would be ideal for this, but a chair will absolutely work, or some other sort of elevated surface will work, as long as your elevated surface is strong enough, sturdy enough, and stable enough so that you can use it for support safely. So it needs to be strong enough to support your body weight. It needs to be sturdy enough and well made enough so that it will not collapse or break or fold up on you when you put weight on it. And it needs to be stable so that it can't slide from underneath you. So again, please use your common sense and be safe. But assuming that you have a strong, sturdy, stable, elevated surface that you can use for support, instead of having your hands clasped behind your head, you can just have your hands in front of you on the chair. But you still want to make sure that you're minding your form, so you still want to make sure that your shoulders are back and down and that your chest is lifted high. You still want to focus on your abs, making sure they're super tight and engaged, like someone's about to punch you in the stomach. Make sure you're not locking out your knees. Keep a soft bend to your knees. You're still going to push your booty back, like you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your booty, while keeping your chest lifted high, like you're trying to touch the wall in front of you with your chest. And you're hinging at the hips, so make sure there's a soft bend to your knees. You're hinging at the hips. And if you can get here so that your torso is parallel with the ground with the help of the chair to support you, great, that's what you're going for. But if you're unable to do that, that's fine. Work to your own level. Make sure that you're not rounding your back, okay? The point is to keep your back flat. So keep pushing that booty back, keep trying to touch the wall in front of you with your chest so that your spine stays nice and elongated, your back stays nice and flat, and hinge at the hips. Just come down as low as you can. So that might be here. If you're a beginner, that's fine, as long as you're not rounding your back. As long as your back is flat, the weight is in your heels, and your chest is lifted high, and there's a slight bend to your knees, that's the movement, okay? So just come down as low as you can. And then you can press into the chair for support to stand. And then if you're able to let go of the chair for your air squat, great. If you need to still hold on to the chair for your squat, you can take a slight step forward and then do your squat. So again, just push the booty back, flat back, weight in the heels. You can hold on to your chair for support. Just make sure that you're being safe. So if you're putting weight on your chair from this position, I don't want your chair to do this. So make sure it's strong enough to hold your weight when you're putting weight on in this position without, this is what I mean when I say strong enough to hold your weight and sturdy enough and stable enough that it's not going to flip over on you or break or collapse or anything like that. You could also use your chair this way for your squat if you need to. So you could start by standing in front of your chair, and then if you're able to do a good morning without holding on to anything for support, remember you're trying to get your torso parallel to the ground, but if you're not there yet, you're not there yet. So work to your own level. If you're only able to come here, that's fine. Just hinge at the hips, pushing the booty back, keeping your back flat, keeping the weight in your heels, keeping your back nice and straight, and then hinge at the hips to stand. And then you can sink down into your squat using the chair for support. So you can essentially just sit down into the chair and then press your heels into the ground to stand. Just to make sure that if you opt to use the chair to assist you in this way, that you're not just plopping your booty down the chair. That is not an exercise. That is a waste of time. That is not going to do anything to get you stronger. So you have to make sure it's fine to use the chair in this way to assist you. Just make sure that as you are lowering your booty down into the chair, you're controlling the movement. Control, control, control. Once your booty hits the chair, you can sit back into the chair. But until you're there, the movement should be under control, okay? So push your booty back. Chest is lifted high, back is flat, weight is in the heels, shoulders are back and down, away from the ears. Control, 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 control. And then once your booty hits the chair, you can sit. Then actively press the ground away with your heels, activating all of the muscles from your feet through your calves, your quads. Press the ground away to stand. All right? So, hands clasped behind your head if you can. Good morning. Assisted squat. Good morning. Assisted squat. All right, so there are a few different ways to use the chair to assist you if needed. So that's it, that's all of the exercises, including your equipment-free substitutions and your beginner modifications. Now here's the format. We are starting, it's the same format whether you're doing the beginner version of the workout or whether you're doing the more advanced version of the workout. We're starting with our either espressos or burpee variation. 2 reps. Then you will do 3 reps of the next combo. So for the weighted version, you are going to be doing a weighted sumo squat plus a bent over fly plus an upright row. You'll do 3 reps of that exercise. If you are doing the equipment-free / beginner version of the workout, then your second exercise is going to be good morning plus a squat. You'll do 3 of those. And that's it. This is a 5-minute AMRAP, A-M-R-A-P. So that stands for as many rounds as possible. Or some people will say as many reps as possible. But I'm going to set my timer to count down 5 minutes. And we're just going to repeat that as many times as we can without sacrificing form in 5 minutes during that 5-minute countdown. So 2 espressos and then 3 reps of your squat, bent over fly, and upright row combo for the intermediate or advanced version of the workout. For your beginner workout, it's going to be 2 burpees plus 3 reps of your good morning and prisoner squat combo. And then you're just going to repeat that as many times as you can without sacrificing your form in 5 minutes. Please remember that I always take the time to type out the instructions in the description box down below the video. And you're going to watch me do it right now. I'm going to do both versions of the workout with you in real time from start to finish. We're going to start with the beginner version of the workout. So if you are a beginner, I'm going to do the entire workout right along with you. You don't have to worry about applying those equipment-free substitutions or beginner modifications while you're watching me do something else. You don't have to follow along with a little box in the corner of the screen. You're just going to follow right along with me. And then after the beginner version of the workout, I will do the more advanced version of the workout with you. So watch me do it, read the instructions, but then of course, as always, if anything is unclear with the format, if you have any questions about how everything fits together, if you have any questions about the exercises that we are doing today, if you have any doubts about how to do the exercises with the correct form, please just ask. It is incredibly important that you understand how to do the exercises with the proper form before you begin the workout, so that you reduce your risk of injury, and also just so that you make sure you're getting the maximum benefit out of each exercise. It's also incredibly important to me that all of my workouts are always accessible to anyone and everyone who wants to do them with me. So if you need any more help with beginner modifications beyond what I've already provided, I am right here. So please just ask. And also please remember, especially if you are going to be working out along with the video, to make sure that you are going at your own pace and do not sacrifice your form for speed. So yes, AMRAP stands for as many reps as possible, or as many rounds as possible. So by definition, that means you're trying to complete as many reps of these exercises as you possibly can before our 5 minutes is up, but not at the expense of your form. Do not sacrifice your form for speed. If you start racing through the exercises because you're just trying to go fast for the sake of going fast, that's when your form is going to start to get sloppy, and that's when you're going to put yourself at an increased risk of injury. And I don't want anyone getting injured. So please mind your form, work to your own level, apply whatever modifications are appropriate for your current strength, your current level of fitness. Be smart, listen to your body, make the decision that is best for you. Make sure you're going at your own pace, and make sure you're minding your form. Do not sacrifice your form for speed. All right, hopefully I have covered everything. So if you are ready to go ahead and start the beginner version of this workout, go ahead and grab an exercise mat or a yoga mat if you have one, and if you need one. You will only need a mat if you plan on doing push-ups from your knees, or if you plan on using a chair for support. You're going to want a mat so that your chair stays put, and you're going to want a mat so that you have some protection for your knees. If you're not doing push-ups and you're not going down on your knees, and if you don't need a chair for support, then you will not need a mat. You will not need any exercise equipment whatsoever. But if you need a mat, if you need a chair, go ahead and get those things ready now. Take a minute to make sure you are good and warmed up before you begin. This is also very important. It is never a good idea to jump into this workout or any workout with cold muscles. You want to make sure that your muscles are nice and warm before you begin the workout, so that again, you reduce your risk of injury. I don't want anyone pulling a muscle. So please take a minute to make sure you are good and warmed up. And when you're ready, let's get started. All right, beginners, you are up first. So make sure that you have something soft beneath you, like an exercise mat or a yoga mat if you plan on doing push-ups from your knees. And make sure that you have a strong, sturdy, stable chair at the ready if you need one for support. When you're ready, we are starting with a 10-second rest interval, just so you have a few seconds to get ready. And we are going to be doing 2 burpees. So remember, any burpee variation you want to do is fine with or without a push-up. So come down, put your hands on the mat. You can jump or step your feet out into a plank position. Put your knees down into a push-up if you want. Come back up into your plank position, step the feet in and stand. Come up onto your toes if you can, or you can add a jump. All right, so hands come down, step the feet back. Come down onto your knees if you need to do the push-ups from your knees. Step the feet in, stand, and jump, or just come up onto your toes. Now we're going to do 3 reps of our good morning plus a prisoner squat. So if you need a chair here for support, that's fine. If you don't need the chair, you're just going to clasp your hands behind your neck, do your good morning, so you're just hinging at the hips, and then you're going to sink down into your squat. If you need a chair for support, just hold on to the chair. Push the booty back, keep your back flat, keep the weight in your heels as you hinge at the hips. Now press the heels into the mat to stand and sink down into your squat. One more. Good morning. And squat. And that's it. That's our first round. We're just going to keep repeating that as many times as you can before our 5 minutes is up. So starting at the top with 2 burpees, with or without the push-up. So if you don't want to do a push-up, you can just step the feet out and in. And then you can jump if you want, or you can just stand, or try to come up onto your toes. Now clasp your hands behind your neck. Good morning. Prisoner squat, 3 reps. Holding onto the chair for support if you need it. Remember to work to your own level. 2 more burpees, with or without a push-up. So you can jump the feet out or step them out, and you can jump them in or step them in. So step or jump the feet out and in, stand, come up onto the toes or jump. You can also use the chair like this for the squats if you need to. So good morning and squat. 3 reps. Just make sure that if you're using the chair like this, that you're really controlling the movement. You don't want to just fall into the chair. You want to really control the movement as you sink into that squat. Then press the heels into the mat to stand. Okay, next round. So beginner burpee. Remember, you can add a push-up to increase the difficulty. That is up to you, with or without the push-up. Now, good morning. Prisoner squat. Remember, you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your booty while you're trying to touch the wall in front of you with your chest. That spine is nice and elongated. Your back stays flat, the weight stays in your heels. 2 more burpees. Eliminating the push-up if you want. Holding on to the chair for support if you need it. All right, so push the booty back, hinge at the hips for your good morning. Sink down into your squat. 3 reps. Good morning. And squat. See if we can do a couple more rounds. Starting at the top with burpees. Two reps. That's 1. That's 2. Now 3 reps of our good morning plus a prisoner squat. Hinging at the hips for that good morning, making sure that there's a slight, was that 2 or 3? Let's do 1 more. Making sure there's a slight bend to your knees. Remember, you don't want to lock out the knees. 1 more round, we can do it. 2 burpees. That's 1. 1 more. Step the feet out. Knees down for the push-up if you want. Back up to your plank. Step it in and stand. Up onto the toes if you can. Clasp the hands behind your head. Make sure there's a soft bend to your knees. Hinge at the hips for that good morning. Squat, 3 reps. Good morning. Squat, that's 2. 1 more. And that's it, that's our 5 minutes, we did it. Amazing job if you managed to hang in there for the entire 5 minutes. I know it was tough. We are not quite finished yet. No workout of mine is ever complete, even if it's only 5 minutes long, until we have done our bonus burpee. And being a beginner does not excuse you from having to do your bonus burpee. The bonus burpee is always mandatory. So we have just 1 rep left to go. Let's go ahead and do our beginner bonus burpee together, and then the workout will be officially complete. So just like we've been doing, you're going to start standing in the middle of your mat, bend down, put your hands on the mat, jump or step the feet out, knees come down for your push-up. Now back up into your plank position, step the feet in and stand. Come up onto your toes if you can, or if you want, you can add a little jump. Thank you so much, beginners. Your workout is now officially complete. Please make sure that you are taking a few minutes to stretch after the workout. A good 15 minutes at least. The reason why you want to stretch right after the workout, if you can, is because now is when your muscles are nice and warm. This is the safest and the most effective time to stretch. As long as you're getting your stretching done at some point during the day, it doesn't necessarily have to be immediately after the workout, but if you plan on doing your stretching later in the day, your muscles will be cold again. So you're going to have to take a few minutes to warm them up before you do your stretching. You never want to stretch with cold muscles. You're liable to overstretch. You're liable to pull something. We don't want that. So please, if you can, take at least a good 15 minutes or so to stretch now. And then you can go ahead and have your shower, eat some lunch, and get on with the rest of your day. If you did this little 5-minute beginner workout with me, thank you so much. Please let me know what you thought of it and how you did. If you would like to stick around and try the more advanced version of the workout, you are welcome to do so. Again, just make sure you're working to your own level. Do not push your body into doing something that it is not ready to do. But if you feel that you are capable of trying the more advanced version of the workout, go ahead and grab something you can use for weight, like shampoo bottles or water bottles or cans of soup or something like that. You're already nice and warmed up, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, if you're ready, let's go ahead and begin our more advanced version of the workout. So again, my timer is set to count down 5 minutes. We are going to be doing 2 espressos, and then we are going to be doing 3 reps of our squat, bent over fly, and upright row combo. That's 1 round. We're going to repeat as many rounds as we can during our 5-minute countdown. So when you're ready, here we go. I'm starting my watch, and now I am starting my timer in 3, 2, 1. We're starting with a 10-second rest interval, so you have a few seconds to get ready. Pick up the weights, and we're going to start with 3 espressos. So you're going to bend down, put the weights on the ground in front of you, jump or step your feet back to a push-up on the dumbbells. Row, row, jump or step the feet back in, hammer curl, overhead press. That's 1. Let's do 1 more. Push up, row, row, jump the feet in, or you can step them in, hammer curl, overhead press. Now put the weights together. You're going to do a weighted sumo squat. Then hinge at the hips, bend over fly, hinge at the hips to stand, rotate the wrists, upright row. 2 more. Squat, hinge, fly, upright row. Squat, hinge, bend over fly, stand, upright row. Back to the top, 2 espressos. Weights go down, jump the feet back, push up on the dumbbells, row, row, jump the feet in, stand, hammer curl, overhead press. 1 more, push up, row, row, hammer curl, overhead press. Put the weights together, squat, hinge, bend over fly, upright row, 3 reps, squat, hinge, fly, row. 1 more. Two espressos. Just gonna keep repeating this as many times as we can before our 5 minutes is up. 1 more. And now 3 reps of our squat combo. So, squat, hinge at the hips, bend over fly, hinge at the hips to stand, upright row. 2 more. Squat, hinge, bend over fly, upright row. Squat, hinge, fly, and row. That's 3. 2 more espressos. That's 1. That's 2. Squat, hinge, fly, upright row. 3 reps. and 3. Starting again at the top. 2 more espressos. If you need to drop the weights, you can just start doing burpees. Any burpee variation you want to do is fine. With or without a push-up, just keep moving. Squat, then over fly, upright row, 3 reps. That's 2, 1 more. That's 3. Back to espressos, 2 reps. One more. Three reps of our squat. Then over fly, upright row combo. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. Let's try to do 2 more espressos before time is up. That's our 5 minutes. I just want to go ahead and finish this round. You don't have to, but if you want to, let's just finish up with 3 more reps of squat, bend over fly, upright row. That's 1. 2, last one. And 3. That's our 5 minutes and then some. All right, shake it out. Shake out the legs, shake out the hands, the wrists, stretch out those shoulders. That was not easy, so really amazing job if you managed to hang in there with me for the entire 5 minutes. We are not quite finished yet. No workout of mine is ever complete, even if it is only 5 minutes long, until we have done our bonus burpee. So we have just 1 rep left to go, but first, it is time for the McFlurry Minute. I am going to reset my timer to count down 1 minute for me. I'm going to jump rope for 60 seconds, and if I can make it through the entire 60-second work interval without tripping over my jump rope, everybody wins a free McFlurry. So give me just a minute to go grab my jump rope and reset my timer. I will be right back. All right, my timer has been reset. I have Rebecca with me again today. Rebecca is my adorable black jump rope with the little white skulls on the handles. And if you're wondering where I get my jump ropes, so there is a link and a coupon code in the description box down below the video. So click on the link and use coupon code Rebecca to save an additional 10% on your jump rope. We have a streak going of 4 successful McFlurry Minutes in a row. We are trying to make it 5 in a row today, so wish me luck. We are starting, as always, with a 10-second rest interval. And now hopefully in just about 60 seconds from now, we can all head to McDonald's and kick off a nice chill weekend with some free ice cream for lunch. Here we go. with You Love Me More. Give me 5. 5 successful McFlurry minutes in a row for 5-minute Fridays. Another amazing job by Rebecca, as always. This adorable black jump rope with the little white skulls on the handles never lets me down. Click on the link, use coupon code Rebecca to save an additional 10% on your jump rope. Yet another successful McFlurry minute in the books. You love to see it. And now we have just 1 rep left to go. Let's go ahead and do our bonus burpee together, and then the workout will be officially complete. So when you're ready, here we go. Final rep of the day. All right, with that, the workout is now officially complete. If you did this little 5-minute workout with me today, thank you so much. Please let me know what you thought of it and how you did. Thank you to everyone who has been working out with me lately. And even if you are not doing the workouts with me, thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for liking and sharing the videos. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful and supportive and engaging comments. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you to all of my new subscribers. If you are not subscribed already, please subscribe. And of course, a great big thank you to those of you who have been subscribed to my channel for years. Please know that I appreciate you all so very much. One final reminder that if anything is unclear with the format of today's workout and how it all fits together, if you have any questions about the exercises we were doing today, any doubts about how to do these exercises with the correct form, or if you need any further help with equipment-free substitutions or beginner modifications beyond what I have already provided, I am right here to help. So please just ask. If you enjoy these 5-minute workouts and you would like to see more of them, please remember that I have an entire playlist of 5-minute workouts on my channel. I will link it right there. And we will be continuing to do these 5-minute Fridays for the foreseeable future. So that means that I will be continuing to bring you at least 1 new 5-minute workout a week every week for the foreseeable future. That is going to do it for today. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and I will see you all next time. Bye.